Today I want to talk about the job prospects of a CPA. Like, so what's the end result? What are the kind of jobs that would be available? Now see, as I see it, the market has opened up to accepting CPAs now. Why? A number of factors. CPA internationally also is getting more accepted now, right? So if you look at the NASPA and the AICPA website, you would see that there are a lot of mutual agreements being signed between the US and different countries, whereby, let's say for Ireland or for Canada or for South Africa, Hong Kong, so there is a mutual agreement which says that there would be some formalities that might be required, but otherwise, if you are a US CPA, you do not have to again go and take an accounting degree from that particular country. US CPA will be accepted there, right? Say for instance, if I'm a US CPA, which is licensed US CPA, I also get eligible to get a license to practice in Canada because of that mutual agreement. Okay, so what does it boil down to? Now see, there are a lot of industries which are already there in India that wants and looking out for CPAs now. Now the first vertical are of obviously the US MNCs who are present in India. So right from the tech sector where you have Google and Apple and Adobe and Microsoft, or let's say the pharma sector, you have Sun Pharma or the Pfizer, or PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Ford, so many different companies which are US MNCs which are based in India, right? So they have their subsidiaries in India, and eventually when they consolidate their statements in the US, because that's the parent, so there are processes, right? So when you do FAR, you will see that there are certain processes, right? Like translation and remeasurement and stuff. So you need to, consolidate the accounts of the US parent with the Indian subsidiary. And that knowledge of US accounting helps there, right? Now, apart from that, there are a lot of Indian companies which have gone and raised money in US, right? So they've registered themselves at the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, and they've raised funds there, right? They've come up with IPOs there. Now, that means just like SEBI regulates the Indian market in India, SEC or the Security and Exchange Commission regulates the securities market in the US. And the fact that you have gone and raised money in the US makes you liable to comply with the provisions of SEC in the US, right? So that means what? All of those requirements, the quarterly returns, the 10Ks and the 10Qs as they're called, the annual returns, the Sarbanes-Oxley compliance, right? Post-Enron, there was an act that was passed in the US called the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which increased the compliance formalities of the US companies. Then we had the Dodd-Frank Act. So there are a number of acts whereby the compliance needs to be done. And these companies in India would actively be looking for US CPAs to fill that gap so that the compliance is being handled properly, right? Now the third vertical is a very obvious vertical, the big fours, having all of those offshore work in India, right? So apart from like say PwC having the SDC, the Service Delivery Center, then we have KPMG Global Services, we have Deloitte offices in the US, right? And we have these EY, Global Delivery Services. So apart from that, we have Grant Thornton, we have Rialto Partners, we have Pipara and Company, and a whole new set whereby these are LLPs that are formed in India, and these LLPs are in turn getting a lot of work from the US, recruiting a lot of Indians, US CPAs who've done CPAs in India, and they're getting that work done, right? So there's this firm called Baker Tilly. Now that's a firm which is there in the US, has offices in a lot of states in the US, and all of that work, now they're tying up with Indian CPA practices, and they're getting that work done through Indians. Now obviously the skill is more and the cost is cheaper in India compared to the US. So there's the whole market there for US work flowing in India. And with the test centers for CPA and EA opening up in India now, this sector is set to witness a boom very soon, right? It's already in the boom phase, but it's going to expand further. And the last vertical is, all of those finance and accounting firms, the KPOs, the knowledge processing units in India, which caters to the US clients. So we have the Genpact, IBM, McKinsey Knowledge Center, So there's a whole list of these, firms that Keynes Analytics, Evalueserve, Chrysler, then we have this Credit Suisse, Capgemini, Boston Analytics, so many companies which actively caters to US clients, and hence the need for US CPAs, right? The demand for US CPAs, as I told you earlier, would increase in future as AI CPA and the NASPA strikes more mutual agreements with various countries, right? The whole region, the Middle East and the Gulf region, is going to open up very soon. We saw lately, right, that there are laws passed that they want to open up their economy, right? They don't want to be reliant on oil anymore. So now there is a need for accounting and the taxation regime coming up in the Middle East, right? So all of these are indications that the market is picking up, the sector is on fire, and you ought to be a part of it. So yeah, bye-bye. Thank you.